so I'm here to do my first ever monthly wrap-up. Obviously this one is for the month of November, as it is the last day of November. I actually had a pretty good month, if I do say so myself. I started 7 books, I only finished 6. I will get into that later. The first book that I read, I actually started in the last 2 days of October, but I finished in November, so I am considering it a November read. And that book is Eon by Alison Goodman. It is book number 1 in the Eon duology. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this book because I did do a review on it, which I will leave the link to down below. But basically this book focuses on a 16-year-old girl named Iona who has trained her entire life to become a Dragonite, which is an apprentice to one of the 12 energy dragons. The only problem with this is that females are not allowed to become Dragonites or practice dragon magic. The consequence is death. Because of this, she disguises herself as a 12-year-old boy named Eon. The main plot of the story really focuses on Eon discovering that in this sort of dragon council, there is someone who is completely power hungry, and he will stop at nothing until he obliterates all the other Dragonites. So she sort of has to try and stop him, but at the same time keep the fact that she's actually a girl a secret, you know, so she doesn't die, because that's not good. I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved it. I thought Alison Goodman did such a great job at turning a pretty overused and cliche sort of plotline and turning it into something really exciting and original. I love that not only did she make you fall in love with the main characters, but she made you fall in love with the side characters as well. I will definitely be picking up the sequel at some point in the future. We all know how bad I am at picking up sequels, but I'm gonna try. The next book I read in November I'm also not going to say much about because I did it in a review with Eon as well, and that book is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. This book focuses on a boy named Greg Gaines who loves to make films with his best friend Earl. And one day after school, his mom comes home from work and tells him that one of his ex-girlfriends is dying of cancer. She tells him that he needs to become friends with her because that's the right thing to do. And so this story focuses sort of on Greg trying to become friends with this girl. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5. There wasn't really anything wrong with the plot. I really loved the plot. I thought it was really entertaining. The only issue I really had with this book was Earl. I thought he was annoying, obnoxious. I didn't think he was funny at all. So he was that unenjoyable that I actually had to knock a point off of this book. The next book that I read was Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. This is book number 1 in the Uglies quadrilogy. This focuses on a girl named Tally who is just about to turn 16. In this world, you are separated by uglies and pretties, and when you turn 16, you get this really serious major operation that turns you pretty. She becomes friends with this girl, Shay, who decides that she doesn't want to become pretty. She thinks it's overrated, she doesn't want to do it. So she runs away, and Tally is given the choice of either helping find Shay or never becoming pretty. So she sort of has to decide what to do, whether to betray her friend or whether to stay ugly forever. I gave this book on Goodreads a 4 out of 5, but I think it might lean more towards a 4.5. I can't decide between a 4 or 4.5. I did really enjoy this book, but it was really kind of predictable. I really loved the characters in this book. I didn't really like Shay, but I'm wondering if maybe she was written to not be as liked. I did like Tally. For the most part. There were some times where I thought she was really obnoxious, but I really loved David. I adored David. I think I have a crush on David. The next book that I read is Born at Midnight by C.C. Hunter. It is book number 1 in the Shadow Falls quadrilogy, I believe. This book focuses on a girl named Kylie Galen who is sort of caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and so her mother sends her off to this camp for troubled teens, which is actually a camp for paranormals. So, you know, witches, werewolves, vampires, shapeshifters, things like that. While she's there, she makes new friends, she meets boys, and despite the really lackluster synopsis, I actually really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5, to be honest. It is a paranormal romance book, for the most part. It really is. There's a love triangle. The girl has to decide between two boys. But I have to say, it wasn't as cheesy as it could have been, I guess I should say. There were times where I got kind of annoyed with Kylie because, I don't know, I think I just get annoyed with love triangles sometimes because it's like, oh, I don't know who to pick. Do I pick this one or do I pick that one? And I don't like it. Personally, I am Team Lucas, but you know what? That's nor here nor there. I will definitely be picking up the rest of the series. I thought this was a really good read. I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected myself to because, as you guys know, I am not a huge fan of romance, nor am I a huge fan of paranormal romance especially. So the next book that I sort of read was How I Live Now by Meg Rosoff. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't even finish this book. This was the book that I didn't finish. I got maybe 30 to 40 pages in it, and I just gave up. There was no quotation marks in this book, so it was really hard to distinguish what was dialogue and what was narration. And so there were times where I kept having to go back and reread a couple of pages because I didn't realize that it was frickin' dialogue. It wasn't just the quotation marks, there was a lack of punctuation in general. Like, an entire paragraph would maybe have 1 comma. And it was just, you know, it was really hard to read, and on top of that, the story just wasn't interesting. This book is only 194 pages, so I think if a book is that short, you really need to get the story started really early on. I might pick this book up again in the future, I don't know, but as of now, I just wasn't a huge fan of it. This book has a rating of incomplete. The second to last book that I read in the month of November is Demonglass by Rachel Hawkins. It is book number 2 in the Hex Hall trilogy. I'm obviously not going to talk about what this book is about because it is a sequel. If you haven't read the first book, I will describe that. Basically, Sophie Mercer is a witch, and one night at her prom, a spell goes terribly wrong, and her father sends her to Hex Hall, which is a school for troubled prodigium. Prodigium is anything supernatural, again, witches, werewolves, shapeshifters, fae, things like that. When she arrives, girls start disappearing, people are raising demons out of the ground. It's crazy. So I definitely loved Hex Hall. It was definitely one of my favorite books, and I loved this book so much. I gave it a 15 out of 5. It wasn't a 15 out of 5. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I love this book. The one thing I loved about the first book was it was funny. It was fun to read. The dialogue, it was, I finished Hex Hall in one day. I finished this in one day. At least I think I finished it in one day. I don't remember. It was just as funny as the first one, and it was way more interesting than the first one as well. Obviously, you're delving more into Sophie's history and her family lineage, or whatever you call it, and it was really, really, really good, and I can't wait to pick up Spellbound, which is the final book in the trilogy. Unfortunately, I don't think the paperback comes out until like January or February of next year, and as you guys know, I hate it when my freaking books don't match, so I have to wait until January or February to get the paperback of Spellbound. The last book that I read in the month of November was Undeadly by Michele Vail. It is book number 1 in the Reaper Diaries. I believe it's going to be a trilogy. I think that's what she said when I met her. She had a book release party / signing thing on November 20th at the local Barnes & Noble, and I showed up. She was the sweetest lady. I loved her to death, and she signed my book right here. It says, Amanda, so great to meet you. Reapers rule. Love, Michele Vail. This book focuses on a 16-year-old girl named Molly Bartolucci. In this world, Reapers are normal, zombies are normal. It's nothing out of the ordinary. At her 16th birthday party, her crush / soon-to-be boyfriend Rick dies. He dies by the work of a Reaper. It's obviously Rick's time to die, but Molly, being the little dum-dum she is, reverses this action, so Rick's back alive, but he's not quite the way he's supposed to be. Basically, because of this, Molly is sent to this school called Nekia Academy, which is a very hoity-toity school for Reapers. I wish I could say that I loved this book. I feel so bad. I felt so bad writing my review for it on Goodreads because Michele Vail is so nice, and I wanted to like her book so much. This book has a lot of focus on Egyptian mythology, which is really interesting because it hasn't really been done in the YA genre before. There were a lot of plot holes. Molly was one of the ditziest, dumbest, most annoying characters I have ever read. Unfortunately, I gave this book a 3 out of 5. I was almost going to give it a 2.5 out of 5, but I really, 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 really enjoyed the Egyptian mythology aspect of this. I might pick up the second book, which comes out next year. It's called Unchosen. I don't know, maybe, maybe not. I might wait till it maybe like hits half-price books or something and it's only like $5. Those were the books that I read in the month of November. Let me know if you agree with what I said about each of these books. I'd love to hear everyone's opinions. I will be posting a massive, 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 massive book haul in a few days. My last 6 books were supposed to come in the mail today, but the mailman just drove away. He literally drove away maybe 20 minutes ago. Didn't drop off the package, so I better get it tomorrow. I'm going to throw a fit because I was supposed to get them today. Like I said, it's going to be a massive book haul. It's going to be 12 books. It's going to be a bitch to edit that video. Something else that I'm going to be doing in these monthly wrap-ups is I am going to be talking about the music that I've been listening to most in the month of November. As I have stated multiple times before, music and books are probably the 2 most important things in my life. I've literally been listening to only 2 songs this month. I shit you not. I've maybe listened to maybe 2 or 3 different songs in between there, but for the most part, I've listened to 2 songs. I'm that kind of person who will fall in love with a song and I will listen to it till I get sick of it and I will never listen to it again, but I still haven't gotten sick of them though, so I don't know. The first song I did a recommendation for in my last video, I think it was. It was the cover of Begin Again by Taylor Swift. It's done by Kimmy Smiles. I will link it down below. I love it. I listen to that a lot while I read because it's really like chill and it's really relaxing. The next song I've been listening to is Bring It All Home by Dappy, featuring The Wanted, of course. And holy freaking macaroons, I love that song. I listen to that song when on the way to work and I like jam out. I love it. It's so much fun. It's so dancey. I haven't had a chance to check out more of Dappy's stuff, but I definitely will at some point because he's fantastic. Alright guys, so we've come to the end of my video. Again, all my links to get into contact with me are down below. I will leave my Goodreads reviews of each book down below, or at least, I don't know, can we link to specific reviews? I really don't know. I'll try. If not, I'll just link to the book page. I don't know. See you in a few days with my giant book haul that will take me forever to film and edit. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Comment. Let's talk. Let's be friends. And I will see you later. Bye.